Greetings, everyone. I hope that you're doing okay and that your family is well. And I may have a little delay in the video and I may have some light flashing, but we're going to get through this today. And today's topic is what makes you a Mason? What makes you a Mason? I know that many who tune into the channel, quite a few Prince Hall brothers, they don't consider me to be a Mason. I'm okay with that. That's not my issue. However, what is my issue is how we treat each other. What is my issue is that we as black men who are practicing this thing, Freemasonry, this thing we call Freemasonry, is my issue. Their issue may be, well, you know what? John G. Jones in 19 whatever did X, Y, and Z. That's 19 whatever. We're talking 2020. And I'm trying to get a grip on the atmosphere in Black Masonry. Now, here I come to you today presenting to you what is a Mason. What makes an individual a Mason? And I'm going to share with you some information that you may or may not already have. And before I go into that, I'm going to share with you a real good book I came across, and I would love for you to have. And it's not a Masonic book, but it's a book that really gives you an insight on the black man, black woman, our legacy here in the United States. This book is by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It is called Black Profile and Courage. I definitely would say get this book. It definitely sheds light on those who paved the way in the African American community. It definitely puts a spotlight on those who sacrificed and gave the ultimate sacrifice, which is their life. And it's a great book to have in your library if you really want to know about some of those who came before and laid the foundation of what we call the African American community or the black community or Negro community, whatever you want to call it. This book right here is a great book to have in your library. Get it, read it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar really did an excellent job on this particular book right here. And it is a good read. It's not a hard read at all. It's actually a good read. And man, let me tell you, it's only about maybe 300 pages, so it'll take you a couple of days to get through. But it's worth your time and effort to get this particular book right here. Once again, this book is by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, famous basketball players, LA Lakers, 6 championship rings. I mean, this guy right here, some say 5. I'm adding the Bucks, But get this book. It's a great book to have in your library. Great book to have in your library. So, today we're talking about what makes you a Mason. Exactly what is it in this course of being part of this great fraternal order of Freemason? What makes you a Mason? I would say that those of you who know this simple answer is simply saying your obligation makes you a Mason. Your obligation, the first obligation you take in a just and lawful constituted lodge makes you a Mason. Now, what makes a lodge just and what makes a lodge constituted? Well, one, having the right numbers of brothers to do the initiation, and then having a legal warrant or charter from a Grand Lodge makes that lodge a legitimate lodge. I've read many of the different obligations from many different Masonic rituals, including my brother rituals, which are Prince Hall, rituals, and I read the Leicester Look to the East, and none of them specifically says anything about a particular jurisdiction. They do not. Now, I would say this, in some of the, from what I know personally, in some of the Masonic jurisdictions, they ask you to denounce your Masonic affiliation to your last jurisdiction. That's what they actually do. I'm not going to call names. I'm too big for that right now. So I'm not going to put any particular jurisdiction on spotlight. But I would tell you this, some jurisdictions do claim to say, hey, look, you have to denounce your last jurisdiction in order to come play with us. And then you have some jurisdiction that says, you not only do you denounce, you starting from ground zero in order to play with us. Some jurisdiction says, you know what? Why send you back to the same thing that you already know if you want to play with us? So each jurisdiction has their own way of bringing in those who were Masons out of previous jurisdictions. That's out of respect to what they do. However, tonight's topic is what makes you a Mason? Yes. That's the wife calling, and that's how you answer. Yes. So what makes you a Mason? And when you begin to have that dialogue with brothers from various jurisdictions, do what? The wife called. Yeah, what's up? Okay. Okay. Bring them to you. I will bring them to you. I promise I'll bring them to you. Uh, I'm back. I'm back. Boy, my wife is something else. Can't, hey, you know what? When you got one, take it. But anyway, so what I'm saying to you tonight is that out of the various obligations I've read from the various uh, different jurisdictions, they mention nothing in regards to a particular jurisdiction. They mention nothing at all. Nothing at all. But like I said before, some jurisdiction would have you to deny your formal jurisdiction. Some jurisdiction would even tell you that you can no longer associate with those brothers from that jurisdiction. They would tell you that. They would tell you that you should not have any Masonic conversation with them whatsoever. But how can you do that when they already know you? See, the information you already have when you're going to another jurisdiction is Masonic. They can't take you through nothing that you've already not been through. So if you are a Master Mason who's moving to another jurisdiction, there's nothing they can do to you and scare you or do anything to you that you haven't already experienced unless they're going to beat you. That's the truth. Now, with that being said, and understanding that your obligation makes you a Mason, and understanding that the number of brothers during your initiation, and the mere fact that that lodge has a charter given to them from a Grand Lodge makes them just and lawful constituted. That lodge is just illegal. That lodge is just as legal as any Masonic lodge on the face of the earth. I know some have said, you know what, that guy right there, that Tony Hawkins guy is not a Mason at all because he was made in a bogus lodge. Well, when you look at the word bogus, look at it. When you look at the word clandestine, look at it for yourself and see what it means for yourself, not based on what someone else says. A clandestine lodge is a lodge that has no charter, that is working by itself without a charter from a Grand Lodge. That is considered a clandestine lodge. It is a lodge that is going unchecked. Period. That's a clandestine lodge. Now the word bogus is not even in the Masonic lexicon. It's not even there. That is a word that is made up by those who wish to put a stigma on those who they choose not to recognize to be a Mason. It is just that simple. Tony, not all of PHA, it's your heart that makes you one. And if you practice your oath and obligation, everything else, don't worry about it. That is true, Brother Randolph Teller. I'm not disagreeing with you. You're absolutely right. But tonight we're talking to those who may not be familiar to what makes them a Mason. We're talking to those who may not be familiar with brotherly love, relief, and truth. We're talking to those tonight who don't understand the fundamental basis of being a Mason. So what you say, Brother Randolph Teller, is absolutely 100% correct, my brother. And I appreciate that. You are right. But what happens is, it is the teachings that one gets from his lodge. If a brother is receiving misinformation from his lodge, it's going to be passed down. And for those of us who understand the true essence of Freemasonry, brotherly love, relief, and truth, for those of us who are able to pass over the olive branch of Freemasonry and understand and have a decent conversation, for those of us who got that, that's great. That is the true beauty of Freemasonry. But for those who are interested in Freemasonry, for those who don't quite get it or understand it, this video, this session is for those individuals. And if you can help me along the way, I appreciate that. Because what you said, Brother Randolph Teller, is absolutely 110% correct. The ideal is that most don't gravitate towards that. Most are not able to get that. So, as we break down that concept, as we look at this thing we call Freemasonry, this is what you get. I would also encourage you to get this book right here. It is the Lexicon of Freemasonry. Get this particular book and put it in your library. It is definitely one that will help you to understand the lingo. It is one that would help you to understand Freemasonry and what it really is, be it here in the United States or abroad. And I say that because I've had people to tell people who are Mormons that they weren't Christians. I've had people to say that Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christians. You know, and I look at this and I'm like, who am I to tell you, a brother from a different jurisdiction, that you are not a Mason? Who am I when you have gone through the process of being initiated, passed, and raised? And when we can have a conversation or a dialogue in regards to the philosophy and mysteries of Freemasonry, who am I to tell you that you're not who you claim that you are? Too many times, individuals from various jurisdictions tend to put their own perceptions on somebody else's jurisdiction. That's what we all have done. We've done it. I've done it myself. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, you know, and when it's absolutely correct. But what we have done with this thing we call Freemason, we have turned it into something that is really unrecognized around the world. I'm talking about here in the United States. I'm talking about this thing that we practice and say we love, but yet we don't distribute or show or be the example of the very thing that we claim to be. How is it that you can claim to be a Mason, but yet you totally disrespect a brother in your jurisdiction? You totally mistreat him. You misuse him. You go out and you do things against his family. How is it that you can call yourself a Mason and do these things? Now, I can tell you this. If I wanted to, I can pull up receipts from various groups and jurisdictions and show you and say, look here. But that is not the way to handle it. The way to handle it is to deal with individuals and brothers one-on-one. I don't know many of you, and some I know. Some I have stopped by and I've talked with you. Some I've never seen before in my life. However, Freemasonry is supposed to bring men together, not separate them. Now, we can have our agreements to disagree, but when you totally allow your disagreement to separate you, to pull you from someone who looks like you. Practice the same thing that you practice and you yet pull apart because you have this hard on, you have this thing that is inside of you that makes your heart hard to really love on your fellow brother. That is something that you're going to have to get over. Because if it's true what they say, that Masons, that as a Mason you was first prepared to be a Mason in your heart, then in your heart you should be the example of a Mason. Not in how you treat the next person. Oh, what's up, Light Traveler? Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Light Traveler. I just seen this big green thing show up. The Late Show. What's up, The Late Show? What's going on with you? You know you're welcome to call in. The number tonight is 619-985-1184. I just want to share with you tonight, brothers of the craft, sisters of the order, those of you who proclaim to be part of this great organization, you tell your members, this is what you tell your member. You're part of a great organization. You will be recognized wherever you go. You know, you're a Mason. You're an Eastern Star. You will be accepted anywhere in the United States. Look, let's just be honest. That is not necessarily true based on jurisdictions. However, it is true based on individually. Hear me clearly. A brother who's been initiated, passed, and raised, and he's told that he would be able to travel and visit various lodges across the world, he would be accepted. You know that's not true. Don't tell that brother that. You tell the sister of the Order of the Eastern Star you'll be able to be accepted and you can go visit. That is not true. Don't tell them that. Be honest with them. Tell them, look, we don't have amity with this jurisdiction, so you can't go visit them. However, if you are invited, if you are vouched for, and they offer the opportunity for you to come, then that's up to you to go. That's your decision. It is the decision of their lodge to invite you in. It is the decision for a brother in that lodge to vouch for you. That is an individual decision. Okay? He said, and I will continue to say this until you have found them or well qualified. If you don't find me worthy and well qualified, it's okay. But as a Mason, I'm called to show respect to all men. As a Mason, as a patron, I'm called to show respect to all sisters of the order. Even if I'm not recognizing you as such, I'm called to show some respect. And this is where we're at. There are many of various Facebook groups that would invite a female onto their platform before they would invite a Mason like I am myself. That is true. However, out of respect to the craft and out of respect to the jurisdiction for which I represent, you must continue to press forward and build those relationships with brothers abroad and brothers locally. And that is the beauty of Freemasonry, is to build those relationships. I've often said, my jurisdiction, for which I'm a part of, we have Masonic relationships outside of the United States. And that's a beautiful thing when you can pick up the phone or when you can text a brother from another country, such as the UK, Peru, Brazil, Portugal, Romania. Yes, I said Romania. That's a beautiful thing when you're able to do that. It's a beautiful thing when you're able to travel and be received as a Mason, because a lot of us like to talk about receiving master's wages. And you have to ask yourself, what are those master wages that makes you so worthy to receive them? What is and what makes you a Mason? If Your obligation makes you a Mason. And as I've said before, I've read quite a few different obligations. And that makes you a Mason. As one, I should respect that. Period. Even if I disagree with you on history, even if I disagree with you on whether one is recognized or not, I should respect that. Being a man, period, respect that. And this is the uniqueness of Freemasonry, because it's not based upon your religious belief. However, you must believe in a supreme being. And once you have given that and said that you believe in a supreme being, and your application for membership has been accepted, regardless of the jurisdiction, and they have gone through those proper channels and protocols, there are many, many different jurisdictions around the world. There are many jurisdictions in various states. If you are looking to become a Mason and join a lodge, you should also question that lodge and that chapter. You should. If you are looking to become a Mason or an Eastern Star, you should question that lodge and that chapter. You're probably saying, well, Brother Hawkins, what questions should I ask? What should I say? I want to be a Mason. I want to be an Eastern Star. What should I say? How should I question them? Well, what are you looking for in a lodge? What are you looking for in a chapter? And can they provide what you are looking for? Because they're definitely looking for members to come and join them. And they're asking you, what are you bringing to the lodge or to the chapter? They're asking you that. What do you have to offer this lodge? What do you have to offer this chapter? Some may say my time, which is very important, because that's once given, you can't take it back. Once you give your time, you can't take it back. That's precious, okay? So some may say their time, all right? Some may say their finances. There are various things that people, their talent, there are various things that people bring to your lodge. But in the process, what are you going to offer that new member? What are you going to offer them? A lot of lodges say, well, I'm going to offer you recognition. You'll be able to travel the world and to visit all of the lodges around. No lodge, no Grand Lodge has amity with every lodge. No Grand Lodge and no lodge has amity with every Masonic lodge. Well, I consider them bogus. A bogus Mason. Okay, but they're still Masons, no matter how you chop it up. Well, I consider them unrecognized. But at the end of that, they're unrecognized Masons. They're still Masons. So no lodge, no chapter have a blanket recognition with everybody. That's why you must understand the individual who's a Mason, who's been initiated, passed, and raised, is the one who's going to solidify, who's going to recognize you, who's going to accept you. Not their lodge, not their Grand Lodge, but it's that individual. Here's where you sit and you talk about the mysteries of Freemasonry. And look up the word mysteries and see what it means. Not based on the lodge and the Q&A for which you identify, brother, but the mysteries. Those things that set Masonry apart from any other organization. What are they? What are you supposed to be doing as a Mason? These are the things as we grow, as we mature, as we move forward in Freemason, we should be really taking a look at. However, I beg to differ and say that some of us tend to see it differently. Some of us would say, well, because that brother or that sister may not be on the roll or my Grand Lodge doesn't see them as such, then I can't see them as such. Well, that is incorrect information. Well, I dare you, Brother Hawkins. How can you say that, Tony Hawkins? To name, whatever you want to call me. How can you say that? I can say that because when you find yourself in desolate places and lands and foreign countries, it is not going to be based on your membership as far as your jurisdiction. It's going to be based upon your character as a Mason. Let me tell you this. For those of you who have been in the military, for those of you who have traveled in military, on Masonic bases, you're in the military, you're on a ship. Here's what I know as a fact. When you're on that boat, and you know John and Bay and Ray are Masons, you are not concerned about their jurisdiction. That's a fact. When you're on military bases, and they have Masonic lodges on there, and you know that this brother is from a different jurisdiction of yours, and the essence of Freemasonry, you are not questioning jurisdiction. You're questioning whether he's a Mason by due signs, words, perfect points. You're testing him to find out who he is and who he claimed to be. You want to make sure that is his membership up to date. This is what you're doing. Now ask me how I know, and I will tell you so. It is a fact. This is what you're doing. I've had brothers being in San Diego, and they find out that my lodge is having a meeting night from various jurisdictions, have asked to come and visit. And we like, yeah, you know what Grand Lodge, such and such. Okay, well, here's the protocol that we have. If you can do X, Y, and Z, walk the top of the sword. If you can prove that you are who you claim to be, and based upon that, and you have nobody else to vouch for you in this lodge, yeah, we will consider it. There's a strong possibility that you will be accepted. Now, here's the other part to that. Well, maybe somebody did vouch for this brother, and he is from a foreign jurisdiction. And no, he's not in our book of recognition. But because he was vouched for, we let him in based upon that brother who's a member of my lodge, and the fact that he's in there for one thing, and that he's already questioned that brother. Yes, come on in, have a seat. So we have to start to look at Masonry for what it truly is, and stop lying to people saying you have this recognition around the world, and that you are recognized by everybody. There's no Grand Lodge. There's no lodge that is recognized by everybody. There's protocols and procedures for every Masonic jurisdiction. It comes down to one thing and one thing only. It comes down to the individual. Period. It comes down to the individual that you meet as a Mason. After you prove to her who you are. It comes down to her. That is the truth. Allow me just for a moment to initiated, passed, and raised in the City of Lodge number 12, Arcadia Lodge number 12. 87. Oh, what's going on? Ooh, 87. I became a Mason 1 year before you did, brother. 86. 80. No, as a matter of fact, August 1987, the same year. I moved to California in 86. Wow. Congratulations. Let me see what else we got in here. I asked that because I'm PHA and just checking and wanted to know. I got to go back and look at your comments and see what you said there. Danella Cox. I got to go back and see what you said. White Masons and using different titles in the northern states, AF and AM in the southern states, F and AM in the District of Columbia, free and accepted Masons, ancient Masonry. Yeah, they do use different titles. Not by practice. I'm just going back just to see what has been said. Greetings to everybody who's coming on. I'm hoping that you're able to get something out of this show tonight. asking the question, what makes you a Mason? I should have said, what makes you a Mason and what makes you an Eastern Star? I should have added the Eastern Star. I think I'm going to go back and change the title to what makes you a Mason / Eastern Star. Because some Masons can't talk to an Eastern Star because they don't know the language of an Eastern Star. They don't know the dialogue. They don't know how to talk to her because they have not been initiated in. As I've said before, the best thing a brother can do is to be initiated in Eastern Star. Then he will be able to see the works of the Eastern Star and apply those works to his Masonic journey. And you're asking, well, how can a brother who's a Mason apply the works of an Eastern Star to his Masonic journey? Because once he gets there, he's going to find out and learn for himself that those 5 points apply to his 5 points in a different way, yet there are 5 points. And as I've said before, sisters, I don't know why you feel some that you work on a square. You do not work on a square. You work on points. Now, if you feel you need to debate that, you can call into the show. Like I said, tonight's number, if you want to call in, is 619-985-1184. Call in. Let's have this conversation tonight. Let's not be afraid to talk about what makes you a Mason, what makes you an Eastern Star. And if your obligation truly hold, and you truly hold firm to the mere fact that my obligation does that, and it's in your heart to where you was first prepared to be a Mason, then why is it that we have such a disconnect with the brotherhood? Why is it that we have such a disconnect with the ancient free and the moderns and the international and the PHOs and the PHAs? These are predominantly African American Grand Lodges and jurisdictions I've just called. But there is a disconnect. Why is there such a disconnect within our own Masonic body? When I say Masonic body, I'm strictly talking about African American jurisdictions that are predominantly African American lodges and chapters. That's all I'm saying. See, most of us we identify ourselves. I'm a PHA Mason. I'm a PHO Mason. I'm a John G. Jones. I'm an ancient. We identify ourselves that way. I want you to change that thought. I need for you to change that mindset. I need for you to just consider yourself to be a Mason. Remove the PHO, remove the PHA, remove the John G. Jones or whatever. Remove that and just be a Mason. Too many times we put labels on people to try to identify who they are. Well, he's a John G. Jones Mason. No, I'm a Mason. John G. Jones Grand Lodge is the jurisdiction for which I'm a member of. I'm a Mason. Well, you're a black Mason. What makes me a black Mason? What, my skin color? Oh, I'm a hue. I'm a hue. So, because I'm this, I'm a black Mason. Oh, because he's white, his skin's pale, that makes him a white Mason. Oh, well, he's a little pinkish. He may be a Japanese Mason. His nationality makes him a Mason? Or does his obligation makes him a Mason? Or the mere fact that he was prepared in his heart to be a Mason? We have to, as Masons, get outside the box. Because we have put ourselves in such a box till it's hard to come out. Oh, I'm a mainstream Mason. Really? You just can't be a Mason? Oh, no. I'm an international Mason. You just can't be a Mason? No, because I'm a modern free Mason. Why just you can't be a Mason? Modern free is your jurisdiction. International is your jurisdiction. PHA is your jurisdiction. Get you to become a Mason. Okay? That is what makes you a Mason. That is the first step. If you want to call in once again, the number is 619-98. this is where we're at, brothers of the craft and sisters of the order. We have to begin to shake down the tree in such a way till we all have to realize we are limbs on the tree. We are limbs and branches on a tree. And without the branches, the tree doesn't exist, even though it may have a strong root. It doesn't exist without the branches. It can't do and function without the branches. I'm just going to read some of the comments as we go through. What makes you a Mason? Having a current dues card issued by a Grand Lodge, being financial. To some, that may make you a Mason. But what if I'm an enter apprentice and I don't have a dues card? Now, in some jurisdictions, enter apprentices receive membership cards that says that they are an apprentice Mason working under such and such jurisdiction. They receive that. This is a fact. Your jurisdiction may not give an apprentices membership cards, but that doesn't deny the fact that they are a Mason. It doesn't. So having a membership card, and you're having a membership card, yeah, you can prove that you are a Mason under a jurisdiction. But what if you're an apprentice and you don't have that membership card? How can you prove that? Greetings. Who am I speaking with?
This is Mr. James.
Hey, Mr. James, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm here. I'm doing very well, my brother. How are you?
I'm all right. Talk to me. What you got?
I will just keep it simple. The point for me calling in is to discuss the differences of why we can't just be Masons and the necessity for branding and what it brings forth in Masonry.
Okay, I'm listening.
And I'm not going to go running off because a brother is a brother. The brand does not make the brother a better brother than anybody else. However, when you petition a lodge, you've chosen that lodge because of the history of the lodge, the affiliation, the bond you have with a brother or some brothers of that lodge, and you are prescribing to some of the attributes that come with that brand, that affiliation of Freemasonry. So if you happen to choose Prince Hall Freemasonry, one of the things that may appeal to you is the history of the brand, the lineage of the brand, fraternal bonding that extends across appended and concordant bodies of that brand, without question. The same way if somebody chose to go the route of a John G. Jones, they may not be wanting to behold themselves to some of the things that come with Prince Hall or a mainstream lodge. They may ascribe to an independent philosophy of I don't have to be on that page. So this is the direction I'm going because these are the brothers that have helped me, and these are the brothers that I know to be of a certain quality or excellence that they may have not found in Prince Hall or someplace else. So we're all Masons in our heart, but when we petition a lodge, we've chosen that lodge or we demit in another lodge because a change of ideology, a change in philosophy, or even to some degree the marketing that may appeal to the things that are embedded in our conscience when we first decided to become Masons.
Mr. James.
Yes, sir.
You made me smile. I'm going to tell you I agree with you 110%. I legitimately agree with you. What you said is absolutely correct. I don't have any recourse. I can't come back. I can't beat that up. I can hold it up because what you said is absolutely correct in the sense that brothers who become Masons are really individuals who are around other Masons in a sense, and they enjoy that company, that fellowship, so they choose to join that jurisdiction based upon various things that come their way. They may see one versus the other. I have to agree with you. I can't go no further than that, to be honest with you. I can't I can't go no further than that, to be honest with you.
I'll close because I'm not trying to dominate your show. It's an interesting topic. My last point will be the things that begin to actually separate us from doing the work of Masons is simply our arrogance and philosophy that marry us to dogma. There's nothing to do with the brotherhood. It's what we happen to think about our brand that causes us to look at another brand a certain way. And when we look at that brand another way, that's not to say that we feel that same sort of negative energy towards a brother of that brand. Because as much as we might get on the internet and talk trash, the chances are when we meet on the 5 points, we're going to have a good time as Masons once we get past the trash talk.
You know
I'm
what?
agree with that, brother. You get the last word. I'm going to tune in and listen.
Oh my God, you kind of surprised me. I'm not going to even sit here and say anything different because what you just said is absolutely 100% correct. It is, and the only thing that disappoints me is the mere fact that brothers do get on the Facebook and in various groups and they do go at it. But for what? Because it does nothing for you. But then, like you said, when you meet face to face, it's like, oh shit, he's a great guy. Oh yeah, he may be the very brother that you call on when you really need something to happen. He may be that guy. And he may not be even in your jurisdiction. And that is just, oh man, yeah. I kind of a love for you. I have to agree. Because even myself, this past week, I don't know if you're still on the phone or not, brother. But even myself,
I'm hanging up night, but I'm listening.
All right, good night to you. Appreciate you calling in. Even this past week, as I've said before, with various brothers from PHA, Ancient Free and Accepted, as I travel on the East Coast this past week. I had brothers like, oh man, you getting ready to leave for real? Yeah, you like, I want the hand. I'm just saying that when the olive branch is really the olive branch, when the olive branch is passed, why is it so difficult for us to accept the olive branch? I would say this. It is based upon your teachings and what you get from your jurisdiction. See, if your jurisdiction is always clowning someone, take it or leave it. This is how you're eventually going to feel until you come across a brother or a sister and find difference. You may find, well, damn, what they say ain't necessarily true about this brother right here, and he's part of that jurisdiction. I'm looking at them a little different now. He's probably more of a Mason than some of the brothers in my lodge. She's more of an Eastern Star than some of the sisters in my chapter. I called her up and said I needed a ride, and she was there. I called my sisters in my chapter up and said, and they told me they couldn't do it. Something ain't right here. This is why I say often that it's based on individuality, not just your jurisdiction. Let me tell you this. The mandate, hear me clearly, the mandate that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, who was my Masonic brother, gave to us, who was at his home, said to use his name to unite. Use his name to unite. I know some people don't care for Farrakhan. I know that. Some black people, some white people. People in period, they just don't care for him. But I care for him. There are quite a few people who do care for him. And if he's going to tell me, and those of us who was at that table that night, if we're going to do anything in regards to the fact that he is a Mason, use his name to unite the craft. So who am I to tell a brother of another jurisdiction that he's not a Mason? Who am I, that guy? I'm not the Masonic police. So who am I to tell you because you're of another jurisdiction that you are not a Mason? Although my jurisdiction may not recognize your jurisdiction, but who am I? Have I been tried? Have you found that I've passed your Q&A have what have I done to you to nullify the fact that I am a Mason? As quiet as it kept, I might know your father, and you may not know that. As quiet as it kept, I might know your sister, and you may not know that. As quiet as it kept, I may have helped your family, and you have no idea until your father introduced me in your house, and you're looking at me like, I know him, but you tongue-tied because you have dogged me out and said certain things about me. Now you're finding that your dad or your mother or your sister or your brother may say, well, damn, this guy right here, when I needed somebody, he was there. Now what you gonna say? Well, he's still not a Mason in my sight, but he was the very guy. He was the very man. She was the very sister that when called upon came to the aid, to the need of your family. See, there was an explosion in Baltimore. I want to say yesterday or the day before. And there was quite a few lodges that I know of. What they call the ancient craft masonry. Not ancient free and accepted, not PHO, PHA. They are called ancient craft masonry. They work up under the United Masonic Assembly. Brother Marcus is the wishful master of one of the lodges there. When the explosion took place, those brothers mobilized and went and got clothing, food, and supplied shelter to those who was in need. Were they Prince Hall Masons? No. Martin Free? No. John G. Jones? No. International? No. PHO? No. There were none of those jurisdictions. They were of the ancient craft masonry, working under the United Masonic Assembly. But the unique thing is, they were Masons. They were Masons who was out on the front line, supplying and helping with Red Cross and getting people in places and making sure they had homes to stay in the night. Because people had lost their homes. I don't know how many people was killed in the explosion, but I'm telling you what I know because I spoke with the brothers who was on the front lines when this occurred. So we have to get beyond our own jurisdiction and begin to formulate and work together. It's not about recognition. When it comes to dealing with the African American community, we're going to have to learn to set aside our small differences for the big picture. I've said it before. If we can come together to make sure that Miss Diane, who's 80 years old, paint her house, clean her yard for her. If we can come together to do the small things in the community, people in your community are going to see you differently. They're not going to destroy your building. They're not going to break into your Masonic hall because they're going to know that you are in the community. They're going to know that you are a part of the community, that you are a vital part of the community. They don't see you as a vital part of the community. This is why when you wake up after the riots a few months ago, last month, you found that somebody broke into your building. You found that they wrote on your building, Black Lives Matter. And you're wondering, why did they do that? Because you're not visible to them. You offer them nothing. They don't see you as a vital part of the community. So yes, when they walk by, oh, Mason building, Black Lives Matter. It wasn't whether the building was black or white. Most of the Masonic buildings under Prince Hall, Modern Free, International, Ancient Free, most of those buildings are in black communities. And quite a few of them were vandalized or broken into. You have to ask yourself why. Why was our building vandalized? Why did they break into our building? Maybe because they don't see you as part of the community. They don't see you as anything. You are a secret society to them, and you are a threat to them. So they can't relate. So They see you, boom, break into it, take something out of it, whatever. They don't care. If they care and if they seen you part of the community, then they would say, no, 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 no. Those brothers in that building, those sisters in that building, they are actively helping and building in the community. They are helping to police the community. They are serving food to the homeless. These brothers in this building, I know them. Don't touch that building. Somebody will protect that building if they know you to be actively participating in the community. But when they don't see you, you mean nothing to them. So your building is destroyed. So what makes you a Mason? You know that you're prepared to be a Mason in your heart. The obligation makes you a Mason that you take. But your character, how you treat the next man, the next woman, brotherly love, relief, and truth. You exemplify those very elements and emblems of a Mason. You have a dues card, a membership card that shows that your dues are caught up and you're paid up and you're actively participating in Freemasonry. Those things combined makes you a Mason. In your heart, participation, the respect, the gratitude toward another brother from another jurisdiction, another sister from another jurisdiction, those things combined makes you a Mason. They make you an Eastern Star. The fact that you can stand on those 5 points and explain the 5 points and have an understanding and show sisterly love makes you that Eastern Star. The mere fact that you can exemplify that shows that. So look, I hope that you've gotten something out of this. The mere fact that people go around calling themselves a Mason but they're not the example of a Mason. Watch them. They'll show you quicker than anything else whether they are truly who they say they are. Watch that sister. She will show you quicker than anything else if she's truly an Eastern Star. So I bid you this evening with peace, with love to your family, regardless of your jurisdiction. May God bless you and keep you as he keeps me. Peace and be well, and whatever you do, stay out them bushes. The higher you climb, the clearer the vision. I'm out. Peace.